Hello, merhaba.
Merhaba.
Okay, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here and to share our experience. And my name is Anna, as Aytaç said, and thank you, Aytaç, for the invitation once again. I am an executive director of a youth organization in Albania, which is operating in local, national, regional, and European level. The organization is called Beyond Barriers, and its main aim is to empower young people to be active citizens in our communities. One of the main topics that we work is employability and entrepreneurship and volunteering, because for us volunteering is very important. It's very important how it shapes the young people and how it contributes to young people development. So this is what I'm going to talk in our online meeting today, in order how to incorporate all of these elements of developing, empowering young people, developing their skills through some green ideas that we started recently. It's a project that I'm going to share, and even to have some discussion with you and to get some suggestions as well, because as I told you, the project and that I will present and input, it has to do with young people development, but it's always space to do more. As you could see in the picture, that is a greenhouse, a small greenhouse that our organization has built in a premises of a special schools, which is for pupils and the kids with intellectual disabilities. So that's a combination of green ideas, volunteering, the skills development, and that's the presentation about that I'm going to share here. So as I already said, I'd like to talk and discuss and share some of work we are doing in our organization regarding lately a project that we already started and we are implementing, but it incorporates a lot of elements which has to do with green ideas, with inclusion, with volunteering, and in order to empower young people to get more knowledge, to improve their skills, and to change the attitudes, especially towards those young people in the society which are marginalized and they need support. So what we have actually doing during all of these years in our organization, we work in inclusion. We work with young people with fewer opportunities, and especially our target group is young people with intellectual disability or people with disability. And what we have done in order to include those young people who need to be supported, it's various activities in order they could feel part of the society, and they could have the equal access to activities or to improve their life. Of course, it's very challenging. It's not easy to work with people with intellectual disability or people with disability. And just I would like to say that in Albania, this situation of young people with disabilities, it's not good. It's not good at all. The whole reality for their living condition, about employment opportunities are really bad. And especially when it comes to entrepreneurship for this target group, especially for young people, you can rarely find any initiative which is initiated from this target group. So our efforts have been in empowering this target group, and one of the components that for us is very important is through volunteering, through volunteer activities with young people with disability and other young people without disability, in order to bring synergies and to bring development by bringing these two target groups together. When it comes to our project, as I said, we did a greenhouse, and then we wanted to put this word about green. Okay, it's a word, buzzword that is used so much, and we wanted to work on that because we think it's very important. It's very important that young people with fewer opportunities, young people with disability, have a chance to work with green ideas. Our organization is working with 18 years in the special school for children with intellectual disabilities. And then there is a lot of premises which were not used. So we thought to make this greenhouse, and in the greenhouse, young people can work together with a volunteer, can work, and we wanted to promote this love for nature, love for the healthy lifestyle, for the green idea, for gardening, for let's say in general, even for environment. Lately, you know, the last years in Albania, a lot of young people are going abroad, they are migrating, and if you would see our country, it's a lot that we can do in agriculture, but nobody would like to work. So then we want to put a bit the accent that young people can educate young people this love for nature, for agriculture and horticulture in general. So that was the main idea when we start to build the greenhouse. And regarding the other component, which is very important, and we work from the beginning of our association, it's volunteering. And we all know that volunteering is a kind of trampoline, which is influencing the development of young people into the employability skills, into the market, for the future. And it's about personal level, so empowering volunteer, but on the other side, which is very important, is the empowerment of the communities. So if you would see in the picture, I would put volunteering actually as a power plant, as a power mill, because it's generating, and the benefits which young people and the community is taking from the volunteering, it's really powerful. For us, in our association, we consider volunteering as a purpose, but as a hope as well, a hope for making better communities, for making better societies, and of course, educating the new generation. Actually, what we transmit to young people through the volunteering is that it's not only educational activity. It's a mechanism which cultivates the best standards in the society, and especially for young people with fewer opportunity, in order not to let anyone behind. So this is our philosophy. That's why we always put the volunteering in the center of our learning process. Volunteering is quite a well-developed concept in Europe. And in some countries, especially if you refer to France and Italy, for example, they have quite a very well-developed system of managing volunteers in the national level. And the way how they work with volunteers is volunteers in the national level. So you could go in different institutions, in different organizations. And in our country, it's not so well developed, but we are working for that because we see a value. We see a value in volunteerism. And personally, I would consider volunteering as a little entrepreneurship. It's quite entrepreneurial, the volunteering, because you get an initiative, you enter, you take a role into the society, in the community, in the organization or institution when you get involved. And it really needs a lot of purpose in it, a lot of motivation to go on. So personally, I've seen a lot of young people volunteering in the national level, in local level, but even in European level. And it really had a great impact on their development and absolutely in the long-term perspective for the community. If we will see a bit of a theoretical approach about volunteering, and then we refer to the pyramid of Maslow, we all, I guess, know, we studied the pyramid in our studying at school. The research are saying mostly that people who are on the top of the pyramid, like with quite developed self-esteem or self-actualization, they are those young people or those people in general, citizens, which are volunteering the most. And of course, there are three motivational elements which influence the volunteering, which has to do with achievement, with sense of belonging, and with the influence. From my experience, actually, I would for me, it's very important, two main directions. One is, let's say, value-based approach. So what do we want to transmit through the volunteering? And when it comes to volunteering, those values, I refer even to those values which are in the heart of the Europe or European Union building, like, for example, respect for human rights, solidarity with the marginalized one, gender equality, equal opportunities. So those values which we have on the core, on the heart of our society, and through volunteering, we transmit. This is what we do in our association. This is how we manage, how we, let's say, try to motivate our volunteers, because we do good things in society and we make better our society. So this value-based approach. And the other one, which I've been a bit skeptic about that, it's this competence-based approach, which is mostly young people or citizens do volunteering in order they can, let's say, improve their skills, and mostly for young people, which somehow is nothing bad on that. But if you see the three criteria for volunteering, which are worldwide accepted, are that you do volunteering with free will, you do volunteering without any financial gain, and you do volunteering for the benefit of a third party, like the local community. So when it comes to this competence-based approach, like you get more skill, I think it's a bit like kind of personal gain, but it's nothing bad on that, because even the world is changing, theories are changing. So what we do in our organization is as well attracting young people through telling them the benefits of volunteering for themselves. Like, you volunteer, but then you improve your employability skills. You volunteer, you improve your entrepreneur skill. You work in the team, you have more communication skills improve, presentation skills, and so on, whatever, when you go to volunteer based in the profile of the work. So it's very important, in my opinion and in our experience, that both this approach, value-based approach, which we do good things in society, and then competence-based approach, which has to do mostly in the in the personal level, this could be both in synergy. So then we will have a better volunteering opportunity for young people, and more empowerment for young people, and more development. What we use in our organization is a volunteer management system. This is a tool, I don't know if you heard about that before, but it is very important for us because we work with structured volunteerism. So that means that there is a structure when volunteers enter into the association, and there it has its own benefits in order that volunteers enter in a volunteer program, and they are not, they keep the motivation. One of the challenging when you work with one of the challenges that we encounter offer is the motivation of volunteers. And keeping the motivation, if you use this volunteer management system, volunteer management cycle, it's much more easy and effective and professional. So then I would like to share this volunteer management system that we have in association, and hopefully maybe you could use it in any NGO, or you introduce. I don't know if you heard about that before. How we use this cycle in our organization. First of all, it's starting with the research of the needs. And this is very important, because why always when you take volunteer, you always make the question to ourselves, to the staff of organization or institution, why we need the volunteer? Who need the volunteers? So it's very important to understand and to give a response to this question. Usually what we do is we make open, let's say, open meetings with our volunteers, with our target group that we work, to check their needs, because volunteer is coming in the association and is working in different position. It can be a community volunteer, so it is working in this case with a school that we are working, but it can be administrative volunteer, which is working in association and helping us to write some projects or to do some social media marketing. So then we check with our staff what are our needs to have volunteers in our organization. Usually we use the SWOT analysis. I guess you heard about that. So we see how we can engage volunteer, what are our strengths, what are our weakness, what are the connection, the synergy with the community. So then we make a research of the needs, and based on our needs, we create this volunteer program, and based in how many volunteers are going to get engaged. So the second step is creation of volunteer program. And regarding this, I'm going to explain to you what we put in this creation of volunteer program, because it's very important to have some structured volunteer program when our young people can work in a volunteer way. The third step is the recruitment process and selection. It's very important how you put the message, the recruitment message to young people. And then how attractive this message could be for young people. So we choose quite carefully the images that we put in social media, this message which should be clear, that could be short, not very long, and to be attractive, that young people could come in association and work with us and dedicate their time. And of course, the selection, or it's called even screening process. So it's important that all those who send you a CV or send a motivation letter to get a response. There are different recruitment tools that we use, and it depends on how many volunteers we need. Because if you need a team volunteers, then we would need more volunteers and we'll make a more open call. If we need 2-3 volunteers, it's good not to have bigger call, because then people will come and then you cannot take them all, and then they will get disappointed from you. So it depends which method you'd like to use based in the profile of volunteer that you have. And then selection and screening, those who we take, there is an interview. We see what are their skills, how they can contribute, and absolutely we always let some space for our volunteers to do some projects, to present us their idea. So not to be to think that you came in our organization only to do our work, but then you have some spaces to express your spirit of initiative. Then the other one, which is very important, and this is preparation and training. Often in Albania, there was this years ago, this disappointment about I'm going to be volunteer, but then I do only photocopy. And this is something that we always deal with this. So we don't want to do that, because then you volunteers, young people can feel that they are used. So for us, preparation and training is very important. When it comes to preparation and training, it's not only for the volunteer, but it's even for the staff of organization, because the volunteer will work with staff. They are not going to work alone. And then we never let a volunteer working alone. It will be supervised or with mentor. So we prepare them. We tell them about organization. We tell them what we do, what is our mission, our activities. And then those who, there are some activities which need a proper training. So then we train them. For example, we did a summer school in July and August with children with intellectual disability. And then we have 12 local volunteers which were engaged in this activity. And what we did, we train young people, these 12 volunteers, how they can interact with children with disabilities, because it's not an easy task, and they need to know some information, how to behave, what activities can do, and so on. So for us, this phase is very important. And then there is the phase where usually volunteering is failing, because organizations do not put accent or much importance to this phase. The other one is implementation of the program. So when we have the phase number 2, creation of volunteer program, then we have the implementation. So there is the phase where volunteers start to work. But this is very important, because you have to follow the schedule, to have somebody who is watching the volunteer as a supervisor, but it's even about monitoring. So monitoring and reflecting about the learning process. We are talking about volunteering, but we are talking about skills, that it's very important that volunteers have a reflecting process on what they get. Are they learning? What we are learning as a volunteer is as it should be. So the reflection for us is very important. And this is happening if you see the arrow here in all of the phases. So the staff is always in continuous monitoring and supervision of the volunteer. And the last one is the evaluation of program. Usually what we do in our organization is volunteers prefer to get engaged from 1 month to 3 months. And I'm talking here for local volunteers. So then there is the evaluation, the skills that they get, how they interacted with staff, how they interacted with the local community, with other volunteers, and so on. So all of this cycle, it looks a bit complicated, or there is a lot of steps, but if it's done in a proper way, the volunteers will really get a lot of skills, and those skills that we say, employability skills, entrepreneurship skills, and other skills, the soft skills that we use it for our life. So this is what we use. This is a system that we use in our organization. Okay, and now I'm just trying to concentrate a little bit on creation of volunteer programs. So how you can create a volunteer program. I will focus on this because this is very important, even because usually organizations work with projects. So they get some money and some funds, and then they spend this money and funds, and then it's finished. But why, if you would build a good volunteer program, you don't need all the time to have these donors, to provide money. But if you build a good one, then volunteer will work there and maybe even bring more funds. So what a volunteer program look like? You should have a title and the purpose of the volunteer program. So what it is addressing this volunteer program. Then the description of beneficiary groups, with whom the volunteer is going to work. Is it working with pupils at school? Is it working in the environmental protection? With whom a volunteer is working? Then what is very important is description of the tasks. So what is volunteer doing concretely? And this is the part when association should be really concise. And then be clear, because sometimes it happens that volunteer is coming, then is not doing what is supposed to do. So in this case, the description of task, it's very important. Even because the volunteer is making the matchmaking. So matchmaking of the skills. So what are my skills? And then how can I better contribute to develop these skills, but even for the association that or the task that I'm entitled to. And then here, even there is some short description about the orientation and training of volunteers and who is supervising. So then the volunteers can understand what else they can get. Like you get some training, as I told you, the training for volunteers for how to work with children with disability, but it can be some social media training or media literacy. It depends on which topic the volunteers are working and which skills they would like to develop. Then number of volunteers, you might need 1, 2, 3 volunteers, 10 volunteers. So, and then what is the level of engagement? Absolutely, volunteering is a very beautiful concept, but absolutely we have our life as well. So it's important then we make a very clear presentation, how much time and hours volunteers are going to get engaged, so they can plan in advance. There is another one which has to do with defined rights and responsibility of volunteer and organization, and who is the responsible staff which is dealing with that. So I think this is very important moment, because sometimes misunderstanding might happen. So in order then we be professional on that, it would be very nice so to know that volunteer has its rights and responsibility, and the same is going for the organization. And then there are some programs, volunteer programs, which might give some financial amount, which is covering basic cost of volunteer. For example, if you would need to travel from one place to another, or maybe even to eat a hot sandwich or something, because if you work 5 hours, absolutely would be needed this. So this component is important. And this is even with that big dilemma, like saying that volunteer is cost-free, but it's not like that, because it's not paid, but then there are costs, because all of this management cycle and then even the involvement of volunteer is important, how you deal with all the system. So all of these elements are very important to be there in the volunteer program, and how you present it to the young people or those who would like to get volunteer. Now with our ideas of the greenhouse. Okay, we wanted to so much to enter into this green space. And what we wanted to promote is that this green employment, okay, that's a lot of definition about green employment. Well, actually, we wanted that young people that are our target group in a special school, not all of them, because some of them are quite, they have hard disabilities, but then some of them, quite a considerable part, they have moderated disabilities. That means that they could be somehow for the future, they could be working as a gardener or gardener assistant. So that's why we were eager. Okay, so that's why we were eager, you know, to build this greenhouse for these kids, because this could help them for independent living maybe in the future. Not for all of them, but for some of them. And as I said even before, is nurturing the love for nature and some knowledge about agriculture and vegetable, how to grow vegetable and flowers. We have a big part of the greenhouse which is full of flowers, and it's even creating a relaxing environment there. So because for people with disabilities, especially intellectual disabilities, this green environment, it's type of therapy. So they could learn something in theory, like like they draw, they paint the tomatoes, but then they could see in the greenhouse, they could see the whole process of how a vegetable is growing. And the school, people, these children and kids in the school, they eat the lunch. So then some of the products that we'll have in the greenhouse will go to the school. So then we will donate this food to the school. We did the inauguration. I'll show you the video on, I don't remember quite well the date. It was in September. 23 of September, and up to now they already, for example, the salad is grown up, and we start to take some production to give it to the school so they could use it for the lunch meal. And it's very nice, and it's very nice even to see how the children are coming there and are working, and they really enjoy, even teachers. So this is what we wanted to do with this greenhouse. But it can be even more. And I don't know, this is kind of a question mark for us, because we want to develop further this initiative. And maybe, I don't know if you have any idea, you could share it with us. In front of the greenhouse, there is, you could see some photos. It's a big space, land, that maybe we would like to use it that as well. So to plant some more vegetable, more flowers, but it's even a new practice for us. So this is something that we could do for the future. Yeah. Now, for example, this is the rocket, and now it's big. Now it's quite big. Yeah. Here, for example, if you see the first photo, it's not quite visible. We have tomatoes, and they already had flowers now. They had flowers, and we were so happy about that. We have, and there is a section here which it has to do with spices. So we put spices so the kids could smell different spices in one of the section there. So these are some of the photos. Let's hope now.
Dhe kontribut i jashtëzakonshëm. Sidomos shkolla që keni përzgjedhur ju e bën shumë herë më të madhe vlerën e këtij investimi këtu. Tu dashuria është shumë e madhe. Dhe prandaj ne angazhohemi fort me stafin që do ta mirëmbajmë, ta shfrytëzojmë sa më shumë për nxënësit, bashkë me mësuesit, dhe patjetër që ta shtrim si model dhe në shkollat e tjera. Programin sapo e kemi miratuar në ministri, programi arte dhe sport, ku kemi përfshirë dhe këtë pjesën e bujqësisë dhe ndërtimin e serave. Ky është modeli më i mirë tani që ne t'i referohemi për ta bërë të ngjashme dhe në shkollat e tjera.
Ne të gjithë duhet të jemi ata që kontribuojnë në këto kauza sociale, sepse të gjitha shkon përfitim tek shoqëria dhe e bëjmë më të mirë komunitetin po dhe grupet në nevojë.
So what I wanted to say is that that was the minister, and we are not politically affiliated with any party, but it is very important the support of the government institution to those causes. For us, we were very happy because the minister said that they already started something like this as a program in the schools, and they will refer to our model. And that's, as we are the first one to do such a project in schools, for us, it's very important, you know, that our initiative to be taken as a model. So we're very happy, and we even got a lot of publicity through the minister. And she invited us to share this experience now with some other schools that will make mini greenhouses and some farms in the environments of different schools of Albania. So for us, it's quite a great achievement. And as I told you, that's an experience, that's our, I mean, we had a lot of goodwill to do this, but we need more ideas, more suggestions how to improve it, because we just started. What else it's important for us, for this greenhouse? It's important to be sustainable. To create something is one element of the whole puzzle, but then to make it sustainable and to get work with that, to make it sustainable during the time, that is, I think, the most challenging part. And what we have done and what we plan to do is to engage our volunteers, which are coming from Europe, together with our local volunteers, to work in the greenhouse and to make this idea, which we find very nice and we are proud, but this idea to elaborate it further. And then young people can improve their skills in horticulture, in gardening, and they can use it for the future. The elements which are incorporated in this European Solidarity Core program, which we work, is one of the, which is the biggest program for volunteering and solidarity in Europe, has to do with active citizenship, solidarity, and volunteering. So young people that we have as a volunteer in our association, we try to elaborate three of these concepts. And for the moment, we have 4 young people from France, from Marseille. They are staying to our association for 2 months, 1 more month, and one already they contributed with building the greenhouse. And they are working now with kids, and they are working in the greenhouse as well. And through this program, we will try to make this greenhouse sustainable and to work more ideas in this. What I wanted to talk to you, actually, the last point is about the barriers, because it looks really nice, the work we are doing and what we do for volunteering. It's motivating, but on the other side, there is a lot of barriers as well. And then one of the barriers that we have, and it is about entering into the institution, volunteer entering there, it's a bit complicated issue. So this is one of the barriers that we have faced in our work. And I don't know, I wanted to ask, what is any kind of challenges that maybe you encounter in your country when it comes to volunteering? What are challenges that you may have? You know, now for the moment we are implementing a project. It's still in the phase of designing. We are doing a mobile application, which it will be a volunteering application for young people who would like to volunteer. It's in a national level, but will be focused, let's say, mostly in Tirana. And young people, they put their skills, and then there is a matchmaking mechanism into the application, and then there will be the offers of volunteering, might be institution, NGOs, So then young people can have it in their mobile and they see the different opportunities for volunteering, and then they can just make click and then go to one organization or institution. So this is what we are doing. By the end of December of this year, we'll have ready the application. We are testing now that. So that's another project that we're doing about volunteering. Okay, so I would like any suggestion. What do you think about this and how we can maybe enrich this experience? We are very motivated about this greenhouse and working in the gardening and agriculture, and we would need any suggestion. What do you think we can do more or better? And I just wanted to close with this quote, which is very inspiring. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing something. So I really like this one, and I'm a person who act more than talk. So that's I wanted to close with this one, and this is what it's kind of principle in volunteering. So stop talking, doing things.